Plagues have wiped out civilizations in the past, but nothing had ever been like the zombie outbreak of 2019. Finding a place to hang your hat at was a pretty big blessing for us, considering we were all at the end of our ropes in the new world, where it seemed like the rules were that you either killed or were killed. We'd been lucky enough to stumble upon a decently sized motel a few months ago. Suffice to say, a place with as many living accommodations as a motel was sought after. Our group was pretty tight-knit. We'd all met each other a few weeks into the outbreak, and we'd stuck together since then. The group consisted of 6 adults and 1 child. That kid wasn't any of our biological children, but it was safe to say that we'd all adopted her as our own in a few ways, myself included. Life in this world was much more non-linear than the pre-apocalyptic world. You did not wake up and plan out your goals at your workplace and for your family. In this world, we woke up with the sole intention of being able to wake up the next day. And that was it. Worrying about anything other than the current day was cocky, as the next day was never guaranteed. All of this being said, we woke up this morning like every morning, skipping breakfast and meeting around a circle to discuss the events of the previous day. One of the men talked about his gatherings from his short hunting trip, and another talked about how he saved a man from a zombie in the woods, and was rewarded with a small amount of food rations. One of our women brought up her late-night studies on medicine. The little girl, as timid as ever, finally mentioned that she had a nightmare last night. This was far from her first nightmare. It seemed as though she was having them more and more often as time went on. When asked about what happened in it, she simply stated that the same zombie that was in most of her dreams chased her to the motel and broke down the door to her room until she screamed so loudly she woke herself up. The share time was interrupted by a shout for help from the nearby vicinity of the motel. The adults stood up and investigated as the girl followed from a safe distance. The person requesting assistance was a teenage boy with shaggy, silky black hair. He was built well and somewhat tall, wearing a Letterman jacket. I asked him what happened, and he replied saying that a horde of zombies was following him in the woods, and that this was his only place to run. He elaborated that his entire group had been wiped out, and their old camp was destroyed. One of the women in our group said we should take him under our wing, to which one of the men rebutted that we were already low enough on supplies, and that we should not be so quick to trust a stranger. While seeming heartless, he did make good points. A short argument over how to assess the situation took place until I interrupted, reminding the group to remain quiet as to not attract the horde to this location. The young man grabbed the back of his neck, presumably to his extreme stress. Eventually, we compromised that he could stay with us for at least one night, and we would decide his long-term placement in the morning. That night, the girl was woken up by someone knocking somewhat frantically and almost violently on her door. She scuttled to it and slowly turned the knob. She began to pull the door inward towards her, half asleep, her eyes insurmountably heavy. As her eyes dwelled, she saw a tall figure. Her eyes exploded open as the figure laid hands on her. The next morning, I noticed she had not come out for the morning share time, so I went into her room to investigate. There I found the teenager face down on the floor. Underneath his messy mop of a hairstyle was a clearly infectious bite wound, which he must have been masking all of the previous day. Startled, I scanned the room for the girl, only to see her snuggled in her bed, hands stained with blood, sleeping more peacefully than ever before. And there you have it. That's all the story. I was kind of inspired by the Walking Dead video game to write this, I'm not gonna lie. Hence them being in a hotel and hence there being a little girl in the story. But I kind of think that I put my own twist on it. You know, the girl kind of has that awesome moment where she kills the zombie, where you think she's about to die and it's gonna be all dramatic and sad, but instead she turns around and, you know, opens up a can on that zombie and, yeah, I'd like to think it's alright, considering I wrote it in about 20 or 30 minutes. But anyway, like I said, just thought I would throw this at you guys for something quick for you guys to listen to. Hope it was neat. I'm very open to constructive feedback since I do like writing, and I know it's not perfect, but like I said, I'd like to think it's okay. So anyway, for now, I guess I would like to thank you all for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and goodbye!